Boy, this never gets easy. Before I start, I just want to say I dedicate this 15 minutes to a little boy who I met in Chicago.
What's going on, everybody? I'm going to wait for a couple people to get in here, so I'm just starting this little video we have going.
The last 5 years, I presented in front of almost 500,000 high school kids. And I tried really hard to prevent the last 5 years.
Hey, Dragon, how you doing?
And 8 weeks ago, there was a little girl in the front row with a hooded sweatshirt on crying while I was speaking. After my presentation, I introduced myself to the girl with the hood, and she told me her name was Phoebe. Little Phoebe mentioned to me that she hasn't met her dad.
Hey, Rebecca.
So I took little Phoebe in the hallway, and she explained that her father had alcoholism.
Let me pause that so I can invite. Hey, Kate, how you doing? I'm only playing something really quick just to let CK, how you doing? How you doing? Just to let everybody get in here.
Phoebe.
Let's give it 5 minutes.
My email and my cell phone. And I said, if you ever need me, you contact me. Little Phoebe's 14 years old. She came back for the night presentation, and she introduced me to her best friend, Ryan. Ryan was 152 days sober at the time, and she was so proud of him. I have my arm around Ryan on a picture on Instagram. He posted that I was his recovery hero. I never heard from Phoebe again until Mother's Day.
Anybody wants to be on the panel, hit that link, and I'm gonna wait like 5 minutes. 6:05, I'll start pulling people up.
On Mother's Day, I was sitting in TF Green Airport waiting to
fly Tina.
On a late flight. And Phoebe sent me a text that Ryan posted on Instagram. But the iPhone was moving still, so I knew something else was coming. And right underneath it, she said, Mr. Heron, thank you for all you do. But we found Ryan hanging from a tree in our local.
Oh, man.
At 15 years old, Ryan lost his battle to mental illness. I feel personally connected to Ryan.
Ooh.
Because I wish I could have done more. Over the last 5 years, I've shared my story 250 times a year. I've spoken in front of groups like the Patriots, the Bears, the Packers, Harvard, West Point, Yale. But sometimes the story isn't enough. On June 1st, 2008, you could find me on a street corner in Fall River on a day just like this. On June 4th, 2008, I was 32 years old. I was in the fight of my life. I was battling my addiction.
What's going on, everybody? Miss Deerdorf, salute, Outlaw, Dragon, Mike Carhall. That's all right, man. It's all right. Rebecca, hello. Everybody that I haven't mentioned. CK America. Kate. Sorry. Chad, what's up, man? I wanted to do this a little earlier than 7:30 because I know Tony Lamont goes live. I'm pretty sure he goes live tonight. At like 7:30. I didn't want to interrupt anybody. I figured this would be a cool time to start our first, what do you want to call this? Discussion. I'm still waiting. I don't know where everybody is. What's up, Monarch? How you doing? So, as you guys know, and this is, I've never really discussed this kind of stuff. So, I mean, this is new to me in front of a bunch of people. But I love y'all. This is about addiction, recovery, mental health, I think they go hand in hand. I don't think it's talked about enough. I know addiction is talked about more than mental health, but I think mental health isn't talked about enough, especially with men. I think like anxiety and depression, we just kind of brush under the table because we're supposed to be them tough guys, you know? Um, I don't know. I hope you guys enjoy this. I hope this helps somebody. I'm waiting for a couple people, Square, Grind, anybody that has anything to say, anything that can help anybody. But we'll wait. I guess I'll go into addiction's crazy. I mean, I'm sorry guys, I've never done this, so I'm a little nervous. I mean, put my stuff out there to help someone else's. That's what it's about. But and all these people saying it's gonna be used against you, I don't care. If I'm putting it out there, use it. If it makes someone else feel better, use it. Um, so I mean, addiction and mental health goes hand in hand. I lost my kids for about 18 months, and I didn't handle it right. Um, I wasn't still in addiction, but I had a score to settle. I thought I was a failure. I knew I was a failure. I knew it was all my fault. I mean, I was taking the brunt of it. I do have full custody now. But I was taking the brunt of it. So I called someone. I had to make 100 calls because I've been out of the game so long. I went and bought a half gram. And yeah, called my dad, told him I loved him. Called everybody, I told him I loved him. You know, this was like the mental health part. It was, I know it has to do with addiction, but it was like mental health. I was a failure. I was depressed. So I went out called Burrow Woods. It's this woods that people go camping, but no one's ever out there. I was in my older BMW. I went out there and long story short, I thought about my life, how I lost my kids, I failed, and I did that whole half gram. Now, people were overdosing on just a little bit of it, so I knew it would do the trick. That's why I did it. It was going to do the trick. Didn't have to worry about nothing else. Selfish. I know. Selfish. And wouldn't think about no one else. That happened about, I think it was like 11 o'clock. So I remember saying 11:11, make a wish. My wish is never going to come true. 11:11, took a half gram. I ended up waking up the next morning. Now I had told everybody I loved them, blah, blah, blah. I woke up the next morning. I was laying, so if your car is facing forward, I was laying out. My door was open. My body was on the ground. My feet were on my driver's seat. And I just woke up, and I woke up with this, like, I knew what I thought I was in heaven, to be honest. That's the first thing I thought. How did I make it to heaven? And then I started feeling the pains and like the headache and like everything spinning, tunnel vision. And it from that day forward, and I wasn't even addicted at the time. I set out a goal and I tried to make that goal happen. After that, I went straight to DHS. I said, what do I do to get my kids back? Tell me what to do. I said, I just used, like, I hadn't been using it all. So I did a rehab. Did I think I needed it? No. I needed a counselor. I need someone to talk to. I did 4 parenting classes, and I got my kids back. At the end of the day, I got my kids back. Full custody. It was all me. It just shows, like, ever since that, I've had a heart problem. I have anxiety really bad. I have anxiety meds in front of me. They come with me no matter where I go. So mental health is a big part of my problem. That was just something I did. It was a path I chose, and I regret it. And I might have lived, but at the same time, I don't think I came out of that the same person. Now I get this tremendous fear of death. Keeps me up at night. I wake up gasping. I have so much anxiety since that night. I've never told that story to anybody. I drove back to my dad's house. Cops were there. Everybody was there, and I said, just because I told you I loved you didn't mean I was doing something stupid. My dad, once in a while, watches this. Now he's gonna find out. I mean, he knew. A couple people actually knew, but hey, here we go. We got one person.
What's up, buddy?
What's up, brother? How you doing? How you doing? What's going on?
I'm gonna let you talk for a minute.
What's that? It takes a lot to share that. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I've never really shared that story. I mean, that was my lowest. That was the whole point of that. I didn't mean to make everybody be like, wow, like that was my lowest. I know people joke about suicide all the time. I don't think suicide's funny at all. I don't think people should joke about it. I don't think people should make fun of people about it. But that suicide goes along with mental health big time. I mean, if you're to the point where you're going to take your life, the one life you've given on this earth, you need help. You do. Yeah, Chad. Anytime, man. Anytime, Chad. Don't take me for you. Absolutely, man. Hey, I appreciate you guys. This is my brother up here, Outlaw 88. How you doing, my friend? I don't know what Grind or anybody is. People are supposed to come up, but hey, we're gonna run the show. Thank you, Robbie. Yeah, and it took me a long time. I just made a video. It's called Road to Prison. It's like I shortened it to like 32 minutes, but it's basically what got me on the path. So I came home end of 2012. Baby mom was pregnant. We didn't even really know each other. She was pregnant. I said, I'm gonna be a good dad. I'm gonna be a good dad. And this is like, you're gonna hear this again. Please watch that video. But long story short, I planned a party. My old dudes were there. They said, we got a plan for you, man. Like, we know how you can get good stuff.
Bro, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. But yeah, he said, yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. But yeah, he said, I know how you can get good stuff. He knew a girl that had a prescription pad from a doctor. She would write them out. I'd go fill them out. Allegedly, it happened 12 to 16 times, but that's how I was getting my prescription pills. This lasted like a month and a half. And then I quit. I'm like, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm about to have to be a dad. Hoorah. My kid comes along. This is months later. And I get a call from the police, and they're like, you want to come down here real quick? I thought it was a parking ticket, honestly, or like I got caught on a speeding camera, which coming to think about it, they didn't have in Maine, in my area at that point. So I went down, and I'm like being all cocky. I'm like, yeah, what's up? And I saw the kid that was doing it with me, like gave me the prescription pad, filled it out. He walked out, and I'm like, man, this was months ago. Don't tell me that's what this is about. It was. He got caught with a prescription pad, so that was the road to. I mean, there was no going back from there, and I had quit like everything. For months and months. So now being sober, I was on management, just had a kid, and now I got to deal with something I did 6 months ago. So that just mentally screwed me up. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm gonna go away. And addiction's crazy. It makes you do. The point of that is, addiction makes you do things a sober-minded person would never think to do. But when you're in addiction, you can. They call it the hustler's ambition. Like you can figure anything out. You can figure out how to get $40, no matter what. It might be an hour struggle, but you'll get it. That's what. I mean, when you're in addiction, you can think of random things that would get you money. Bring back copper, asking grandma you haven't talked to, telling you need to pick up something, anything. But that was the fastest way out for me is prescription pad. I don't gotta borrow money off anybody. I never used my insurance. That's what saved me. If I would have used my insurance, I guess it would have been but it was acquiring drugs by deception. Yeah. I don't know where Outlaw went. I'm just kind of rambling on, guys. What we still doing? Hey, what's up, Seth? You up here, man? Seth, you got any addiction advice? You want to jump up? The link is posted. If anybody has anything to say, I did not expect to be the only one here. That's okay though. We do the unexpected every day. I quit. I didn't quit for myself. They say you can't quit unless it's for yourself. To be honest, I didn't quit for myself. I did to be a better dad, but it was for my kids. Just to get my kids. I wasn't gonna stop. I got full custody of my kids now. Not 50-50, not nothing. Full custody. What's up, bro?
What's up, bro?
How you doing?
I'm having technical difficulties. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, absolutely.
Good.
You got anything? You
right,
got
good deal.
anything you want to share or anything?
All right, what's up, everyone?
I'm
Hey,
still here.
Outlaw.
I'm still here.
So, addiction.
Or mental
I had a
health.
problem with drinking for a while. When I got back from Iraq.
Yeah. Now, did anything follow you back? I mean, it usually does. Any kind of mental health?
And
or anything?
it kind of put me oh yeah. So my last deployment that I just did about a year ago, I was actually hit by a 240 millimeter Katyusha rocket right outside my truck, and I had a TBI. Didn't realize I had a brain bleed till I got home, but I wasn't sleeping. Anger issues, mood swings, and I couldn't sleep. I just could not sleep, and I stayed awake for 5 days straight. It was just weird being back home, and I drank like I can't say how many bottles of whiskey. Decided to get in my brand new truck with my daughter in it, and I wrecked. So I took myself into a hospital. Spent 2 weeks there.
Yeah. Wow. She was okay though.
And I
You
got
were
out,
okay?
and I've been in therapy ever since. It's been about a year now. The reason I came home early too is because my wife was actually diagnosed with cancer. So I came home a month early, not because of the rocket hit, but because of her cancer. Otherwise, I would have stayed the extra month.
Wow, brother. That's a hard hit, man. I mean, just let alone coming home, but coming home to a sick wife and then having all that happen.
And then I live in Louisiana.
Man, I'm sorry, brother.
So we lost
That's
our house
tough.
in a hurricane 2 weeks after I got out of the hospital. So it was like, man.
God gives his toughest battles to the strongest soldiers, bro. I know it don't feel like that all times, but it's true, man. You knew you can handle it. That's a shitty.
But there's a breaking
shitty,
point sometimes.
Absolutely,
But you know what
man.
I like to call it?
What do you like to call it?
I like to call it a mental reset.
Yeah, I've heard that.
It's like a
term,
fuse. Your mind takes so much, and then it pops, and just lose your shit. But then you got to rebuild. Like I told you the other day that I wanted to do a ruck march. I want to start breaking myself down again and get back to what I was. Just the way the military created. Break it down, build it back up.
Absolutely. Break it down, build it back up, man. And that's a process right there. People don't realize if you're going through it, you understand, but to break it all down, you know what I mean? Build it back up is the struggle, but it's worth it in the end, man. I mean, I'm still building, man. Like I get on this camera, I'll smile, I'll have a great day. Like at the end of the day, man, I'm struggling, you know what I mean? Just having people like you reach out to me, email me, I mean, it means the world to me, man. It means I'm making a difference. And that helps me build.
Yep.
I'm proud of both of you, what you've overcome. Seriously, for real.
Thank you.
No, that's one of the reasons. Absolutely.
Well,
Yep.
I'm gonna tell my story here. I'll make it really short.
Make it
Really
as
hits
long as you.
home. 2 years ago, right before, COVID hit, I get a phone call from my daughter. My mother tried to kill herself. She stole her husband's prescription. She was drinking alcohol. She was on hold for 72 hours and they let her out and she's still drinking. This is why I don't drink. I almost lost my mother.
And that's tough.
Yeah,
I mean,
I can't really,
I'm sorry. Keep going.
I really can't talk to my mother anymore. I can't deal with her drinking. I can't deal with her control and what this has done to her. And when you know someone's got a problem, they'll never admit to it. She lied her butt off to get out of where she was, being on 72-hour-old.
Yeah.
I
And you think the people that are paid to watch people that are on a hold, should be able to train to know that when someone's lying about it,
yeah,
that's an addictive behavior that coincides with addiction. I
Right.
mean, talking your way out of problems. I mean, I think we've
Yeah.
all done it.
That's what basically what she did. And then find out my own daughter was getting high and everything else and then some, and it's took a toll on me. And that's why I feel bad for people that get addicted to all this stuff, and I commend them when they get out of it, and make something of themselves. I really
Absolutely.
do.
Now, how are you coping with it? Are you coping with it? Because that's a lot for you. I mean, yeah, your mom and your daughter are doing this, but how are you doing with it?
I honestly really don't know what to think of any of it. I mean, personally, I never dreamt and thought my own daughter,
Yeah.
and then on top of it, my mother, and and I stressed to my oldest, who just turned 21, who likes to drink. I said, son, you don't want to be like your grandma. Believe me, you don't, dude. Trust me.
Yeah. My mom's addicted too. She's actually on Suboxone now.
So, Dragon,
But-
have you heard the saying?
Keep going, brother. You're good.
What is it? You can't help someone unless they want to be helped. And then the second one is you can't help someone.
You cut out, brother. The second one.
I can't hear him.
Hey, brother, you're underwater, bro. You're underwater. We can't hear you. I feel bad. He's making a point right now.
I know. Just to have the guts to come up here and say all this
Case.
doesn't make it easy.
Sorry to hear.
Absolutely, it's not, and that's why I was laughing in the beginning when I first started this. I'm not used to talking. I'm not used to talking about any of this. Like I was saying, my mom's on Suboxone now, and she's been on that for a while, like not chasing drugs anymore. But at the same time, she'll tell me she has to go to the bathroom. Next thing I know, she's losing her mind. She's, and I hate to say that because I love my mom, but she's got dementia because of it now. And it's slow and it's progressing, but that on top of my health problems, on top of like my kids, like that's a lot of pressure. Like, am I going to be here to watch my kids grow up? Like, where do my kids go if I die? Where do I go if my mom, if I lose somebody again? I don't mentally, I can't handle it. I've seen too much. I've done too much. I cannot handle the thought of losing somebody. I can't. And now watching everybody around me, I've had a good friend of mine just do 100 on the
The biggest thing I noticed.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, man. Your mic's a little messed up, Outlaw.
Was people that talk about doing it and say they're gonna do it usually are the ones that they're shouting out for help. The ones that don't say anything are the ones that do it.
Yeah. And that's the ones that leave question marks in your head, like, why didn't I see a sign? And then you start seeing signs where there was no signs. Like, I didn't leave a sign at all. When I did it, when I tried to, I didn't leave a sign. I had a mission. I was completing my mission. It wasn't that I was making signs. But then you got your loved one saying, oh, was this a sign? Like, start picking, and it tears up your family when that happens. They start thinking,
Yeah, well,
what can I
see, I had talked to my mom a week prior before she had did all that.
Wow.
You know,
That's tough. It's a tough situation.
I mean, I hate to say it, but you know, when you can't
I
deal
stopped
with
going to
somebody
funerals
that
in my unit.
continues drinking and continues doing all that, I can't deal with it no more. That's why I commend you two for what you've done and changing your guys' lives around. I give you a lot of credit for all that.
Well, I do appreciate it. It's always gonna be a struggle.
Somebody's gonna do it.
I want to see more people that are struggling reach out. You know, like I know I'm a nobody from Maine that somehow has 1,300 beautiful subscribers. Thank you guys, but I'm not an expert, but I'm really good at listening. Like, and that's what I do. I mean, I listen to people's problems.
Everybody's a somebody, brother.
That's right.
Well,
but if I could help one person, you know, and it's not just, it's kind of selfish that way because I want to help people to escape my own life, but I also want to help people to see that get better.
The only reason I came up here to tell my part of my story is because I was praying and hoping that I could help somebody else.
Absolutely. Scott, I didn't. Let me check, see if I can see him.
Just by you coming up here, Dragon, and talking and showing that you can do it is helping immensely.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I was debating at first, do I dare come up here and tell this story or don't I?
I am so glad you made that choice because maybe someone's watching right now is thinking, maybe I can share next time.
Glad you did, Dragon.
Yep.
Thank you. It's not an easy story to tell.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing. And it's hard. You always got to remember you can't take care of someone else if you can't take care of yourself.
Everybody needs somebody to talk to.
Well, when you had the guts to say what you said, straight shooter, I figured, you know, I could do it too.
Well,
it wasn't easy to tell.
No, I'm still thinking about that. Like,
proud of you, Dragon.
Everybody did my tail, but I'm glad I did. I'm glad that it gave you the courage to come up here. Glad Outlaw 88. Hey, Outlaw, the other Outlaw, how you doing? We're gonna call you Black. You gotta. How are you doing?
Yeah, another Outlaw.
Other outlaw, you good? You there?
Yeah.
You got anything? Have you had any kind of addiction, any running your family, anything like that?
He's
No,
such an outlaw. You can't
not that I
even
know
hear
of.
him.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Hmm?
I'm sorry, I missed what you said.
And shooting, man. I mean, who doesn't want to get up here and talk to the Chris Pratt looking dude over there?
Come on, man, come on. Oh, that's funny. I wish, man. Maybe if I lost 10
Dude, my
pounds.
wife's fixing to leave me for you, bro.
That's funny. Oh, too broken for that.
She's like, how you think he is with animals? I said, this dude trains dinosaurs. I ain't got nothing on him.
But I really, deep down over the bottom of my heart, I really do appreciate you guys listening. I really, really, really do.
Hey, not a problem. I thank you for sharing. I hope this gave someone else the courage one day to share. I mean, I honestly I wasn't gonna do this. Like I'm like I was trying to talk myself out of it. 5:30 came around. Like you know what? Like I need this, and I think someone else needs this. I could just tell. Like the way YouTube's going, there's a lot of bad things going on YouTube, and if we could
I
help
know.
one person, if it helped you at all, Sharon, I would love to see you every week.
Shit, dude. I pretty much try to keep to myself after everything that's gone on YouTube. You know,
Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
it's not like I gave any names, but enough of,
But you see why I like this channel?
yeah.
Man, we're a family in here. Family first.
It's
And
it's about everybody. It's not one person answering the phone. It's not about one person, dissing another person. This is somewhere where everybody can come and belong and be somebody, like I said before,
I'm
And
just
absolutely.
me.
that is so rare. There is nowhere on YouTube, promise you, that has that.
Yeah.
Well,
glad it-
I will freely say this. I built my channel for a safe place for people to come.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that I'm so glad
On
the
top
channel
of
that we Yeah, I'm so glad we built this channel. I mean, yeah, I was the one behind the camera, but there's like I couldn't have done it without any of you guys. Like every day I get on here, I'm watching everybody that's been rocking with me from day one, and even new people jump on and be like, share their stories or tell me how they're doing, or email me and tell me to have a good day. Like I don't want to really throw some names out there, but I'm gonna, man. And I'm sorry, I'm not that kind of guy, but I have a guy. I'll say his name's CTG. Every single day, have a good morning. You're a great person. Venomous. There's so many Red Eye Patriot. All these like people that just reach out just to reach out to tell you have a good day. Like that's why I do it. Like, cause I mean I feel like a failure. I mean I have a heart problem, so I got kicked out of work for a couple months. Like
Yeah, but straight shooter, I'm gonna say this to you, and I'm gonna say it right now. And please listen to me. And I'm being honest. You're not a failure. Stop it. Stop putting yourself down because you're not.
I try.
I hate
And
when
you're
people
right.
do that, and you're not.
Not at all, bro.
Believe
We're
me.
building you back up, dude.
No, you're right.
I'm telling
I
ya.
said it like that. I just to me it does because like I have like I'm not on disability, but through my work I pay. I work for a union, so if anybody works for a union, they get it. But I build Navy ships, and so they pay me like $400 a week because I got hurt at work, which they considered it
Yeah.
hurt at work.
Well, see, right. Well, like
But
my oldest boy that just turned 21, he works for a union and he does construction.
Yep. Yeah, and it
So
just feels like financially, like I want my kids to see dad going to work every day. I want to be able to buy like scrounging money for my kid's birthday, this last birthday, just because times are tough right now. It just it's overwhelming.
been
Oh,
through
I
it.
thought I added you, Venomous. My bad.
Oh, you're good. I was when I started to jump up here. I thought I heard you. Like you were saying something. I don't know if it was my name or not, but
You did.
Oh, no, I was just basically saying like you, CTG. I don't really throw names out there. Kevin, Red Eye Patriot, everybody that I've got a message from everybody saying, "Hey, I hope you have a great day today." That means the world to me. Like I wake up and read that, it's like I'm overwhelmed. Like how cool this community is. That's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to like call people out.
what do I say at the end of every one of my lives? This is how I end my life, and this is what I say every time. Go to sleep, wake up with, and live your day with gratitude, and keep that same attitude.
Yep. Exactly.
So what
And
kind of
I was listening to who was the lady speaking a minute ago?
Hey,
Dragon.
I'm a wish.com, Chris Pratt, not Walmart, Robbie.
You asked who I was, and I just told you.
Well, my granddad, look, my granddad did a lot worse than what your mom went through and everything. My granddad actually tried to blow up a whole apartment complex with his wife in it, didn't care who was in it. He tried to kill people multiple times, and they let him out every damn time. He never even went to prison for none of this shit. So,
Oh my God.
I mean, you can't blame yourself for any of that. You can blame the system, because the system is a failure to us all,
Mm-hmm.
in one way or another. But
I think it's all the weights riding on her shoulders type of thing. Is that am I wrong in assuming that?
Yeah.
Dragon?
Yeah.
well, you can't beat yourself up for it though. Look at me, okay. Just what was it? Shooting a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, I slipped up. You know, I quit drinking for seven months, and when I picked up that drink and I had a drink, I slipped up. I
Mm-hmm.
snapped at my kids, but I also was man enough to admit where I was wrong. When you mess
Right.
up, you got to be man enough or woman enough to admit where you're wrong, pick yourself up by the seat of the damn pants,
Mm-hmm.
and be able to, like my wife says, I run so fast I kick my own self in the ass. Well, you got to be able to kick your own self in the ass. But in your case, you can't beat yourself up because of what somebody else is doing. You can only be there to support them. You can't control them. That's for sure.
I tried. And the more I tried, the more I just couldn't take it no more. I mean, you got to understand something. I lost my dad while I was in my 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And this, the fact of almost losing my mother, hit home for me.
I understand that, and it's a double-edged sword.
Mm-hmm.
You know what do you do about it? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you can't control her.
No.
She knows as an adult what she needs to do. Um,
Hmm.
but I mean, it's inevitable for all of us. There's gonna be a way that we go, and it might not be the way that everybody wants us to go, but we're gonna go one way or the other. And no, I'm not making that okay because it's not.
Oh, I
Um,
know.
but you have to deal with it in a different way. And if you ever need anybody to talk to, we're all here.
See, the thing of
And
it is I've been dealing with this on my own. On my own. And the more and more I try.
We're family now, Dragon.
You
You don't have to
you
deal with
gotta
it right
know.
now.
Look, you gotta know we got your back, and what straight shooting is doing right here has been attempted before in other communities that I've been in, and they stopped doing it. For what reason, I don't know, but I commend him for doing this because I mean, this is what everybody needs. You know, he stepped up and said, "Look, this is what we're doing. You know, we're a family." He asked, "Do y'all want to do this?" Sure. Everybody needs it. It doesn't matter who you are.
Good luck,
Hey, now
Chad.
not trying to cut nobody off. I'm gonna jump up here. I'm gonna jump off of here before my phone dies.
All right, brother. I'm sorry you didn't get to turn to share. If you got enough time and you want to share a story, man, the floor is yours. If you got time.
All right.
But I
But
don't think you listening.
but like I said, I really deeply, deeply appreciate you guys all listening. I really, really do. This is a story I never wanted to tell.
I know the feeling. Trust me, and I'm so glad you did, and
Well,
I'm glad I did. I
you
mean, as
can't-
much as it hurt,
that's a start. You can't hold it in because it's going to make it worse for you. And you're looking at somebody in myself that knows the more you hold in, the worse it's going to get.
mental health sucks. Let's say it. Mental health sucks. I think that
It
should.
does, yeah.
It
And
does,
it
but
sucks.
you have to do something about it because nobody else can do nothing about it for you but you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in my opinion, that it's easier to say that than do it. Like I got put on anxiety meds. I got put on depression meds. I'm off the depression meds. They made me feel like a robot. But at the end of the day, I can't shake the anxiety. I can't shake the depression. When
Well,
it comes,
like,
it comes. Stop it.
well, like for me, having to call my family that I haven't talked to in over 20 years, calling my mom's family and telling them what she did, wasn't easy for me. And no, shortly after I told my aunt and told my grandma, I lost my aunt. I hadn't seen in over 20 years.
I'm so sorry. That's real tough. It took a lot of courage to tell them, though. You do know that, right?
I had to.
This-
I had no choice. When you're the oldest out of 5 and just taking the guts and the initiative to take charge and do all this, I had to.
Gratitude.
I didn't
going on,
want
Glenn?
to.
What's
I
up,
had
buddy?
to.
Yo,
How's everybody doing?
Ron, what's going on, brother?
I'm living the dream, man. No, I just wanted to jump on and say this is great. Nobody can really. You got to have a community to help yourself, man. You got to have positive support, So
Absolutely, man.
I hope you keep sticking with this straight, man, because like I said, the community could definitely use it, and like I said, nobody could really do this all on their own. That's just a fact of the matter,
Yeah, you got time to share?
I couldn't do what I did. It's hard for me every day. It's a fight to go to the store and not pick up alcohol because it's the easiest thing to get.
Hey, I tell people all the time, alcohol is just, it's as bad as any other addiction, man. It definitely is. And then, the fact that it's legal and you got to deal with people socially drinking, it's a hard one, man.
Well,
Go ahead, Dragon.
Well, for me, I've got friends go, well, how the heck can you just turn around, Dragon, and just turn around and just say no and walk away?
That's called peer
picking up a
pressure, and
drink
you
because
can't
I
let that get
can.
to you.
Yeah, some people, like I said, don't have I believe addiction is definitely genetic. A big part of it's genetic and how you're raised. But some people do have that where they could just walk away. Like, I mean, what I always tell people is like, especially with like opiates or alcohol, anything that you get physically addicted to, like it's a choice in the beginning. We have a choice in the beginning, but once you have that physical addiction, it's I mean, you still have a choice, but man, like it's an addiction that you have to feed, man. It's almost like, I mean, when I was addicted to opiates, I chose getting my fix before I ate. You know, I might get a dollar McDouble, you know, all day long just because I wanted to make sure I had money to get what I needed.
Well, I'm just gonna really quick say this. You know, I can have 2 drinks tomorrow and not have another one ever again. And I can just totally walk away.
Yeah.
And
Well,
people
I mean,
are like, how can you do that? Because I can. And I have the willpower to do that.
yeah. I mean, well, some people are wired different. Like I said, I mean, like,
Yeah.
if you know, like I got a brother, man, like once he drinks one drink, it's on. He's going to be on a bender for a couple years until he hits rock bottom again and gets clean again. Like, just like if I was to pick up opiates, like I know, like I'm not able to just take, I have fear of if I ever get hurt, like, and ever had to have surgery where I had to take like prescription medicine, because I know I'd have to just suffer through it and take ibuprofen because I can't risk it, you know? I mean, I believe addiction's a disease, and like you either have it or you don't. And I think maybe you're just one of them lucky people who don't have it, which you're blessed, man, because
it runs in your blood, and alcohol addiction runs on both sides of my family. And I will say this too. I got involved in methadone before I even knew what methadone was because of sciatic pain. And before I even knew the effects of it, 13 years ago, I took it and it took hold of me, but I dropped it cold turkey. A year and a half ago, let's say February 16th, my daughter's birthday in 2021, I came out of jail. And from day one, not from day one, but after I found out how it really got a hold of you, I was always like, I'm getting off of this. I'm getting off of this. And I kept pushing. It may have took me 13 years, but I dropped it cold turkey. And I'll tell you this, the bottle sits there and it's crystallized. I haven't touched it yet. And it's just a reminder. It's a reminder every day of how much willpower and how strong I was to do that. And if I can do that, then I can get away from alcohol, you know. For the first 7 months, I walked in the store and it did not bother me to walk up to or walk around the alcohol, what do you call it, cabinet or whatever, a cooler. And about a month and a half ago or 2 months ago, I had so much pressure on me and I shouldn't have done it. I picked up a drink, and that's when everything came down and people came down on top of me. But, you know, I mean, like I said, I was man enough to admit what I did wrong, know what I did wrong, and correct it.
That's all you could do, man. That's all you could do is fix your mistakes. And I always tell people, man, like having groups like this online is great, but like I always tell people, man, try to find like an AA or a Celebrate Recovery or an NA, like whatever group you like, man. Like, cause like let's face it, like you gotta start over with your friends. Like you can't run with the same people that you used to drink and party with or use with and think you're going to get clean. And like, that's what I always tell people. Like, that's what really made a difference for me is like when I actually got into recovery, like, and I plugged into like Celebrate Recovery and NA a lot, I started having new friends. And then I had people who like, they would also hold me accountable. Like if they see me start slipping up, like they'd be there for me. That way I wouldn't relapse, you know? And, I think that's an important part of recovery is having that support network, man.
Not only that, I have found that, straight. I have found that if you talk to someone that doesn't know you, that doesn't know your story, that doesn't know your life, that's a lot of help too.
Yeah, well, and I think that's why them groups are so freeing, because a lot of times you'll meet new people there and you could share your story. You can relate with them like on you know, the disease of addiction. And you know, building them new friendships. Like, I mean, it really helped me, man. Like, I got people, you know, that were in my recovery group that I still talk to today. Like, they had my daughter's baby shower for me, and like, thank God I got clean 2 years before I had my daughter. But like, you know, I just can't speak enough on like having that support network is what saved my life. I mean,
Hey, I'm very proud, Brooke, and Karma. You are 100% right. Change your people and places and things.
that's a fact, man. I mean,
But
Everybody wants to jump up here. You can jump up here. You don't have to use a camera. If not, just sit back and listen. And I hope this helps anybody.
well, I
Honestly.
hate to say this, Shooter, but I really have to make dinner and I really got to charge my phone. So, but I appreciate all of you for listening. It really means a lot.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. And
hey, thank you.
You're more
No
than
And all
problem.
of you guys, like, all you guys in the chat, man, you guys ever need somebody to talk to, all you got to do is reach out to me, man. Like, whether it's IG or on here, like,
Yeah,
or I'm
me,
sure
I don't
Jay,
email
anybody.
nobody, so it's not my
Yeah,
forte.
no, I get it. I'm just telling you, like, I mean, that's, you know, for anybody in the chat, anybody. I mean, sometimes having somebody to talk to helps, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, I'm cooler than grinding, so I mean, pick either one.
But much love to
Just a
everybody.
little
I'll be
bit.
in chat.
All right, much
thank you.
love.
No problem.
That's great though, Brooke. I'm so glad to hear. 16 years. That's
awesome.
That's a stretch. And I
That's
think I
awesome.
really think that mental health and addiction goes hand in hand.
It's hand in hand, bro. Co-diagnosis is because, like, I don't know. Even if you didn't have mental health issues when you started off in addiction, by the time you get to the part of hitting rock bottom and getting clean, you probably have some mental health issues by that point.
Oh, absolutely.
It creates it.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you don't have it, you know, if you're not already self-medicating, and if that ain't what started the addiction, you're right. It creates it because the chaos that makes your life, you know, the trauma and everything that comes with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
And my wife tells me every day, you know, how proud she is of me, and she didn't want to get involved in what, you know, what happened online, and that enough to me is, you know, and my mom tells me, everybody tells me, you know, just keep going, and it's enough to keep me going. You just have to have the willpower, the perseverance, and the want to, and you have to do it for yourself. Though it's not about everybody else, because if you're not helping yourself, then you're not even helping the people around you, unless you're doing it for yourself.
You're no good to nobody if you're not putting yourself first, and that's a hard one for some. Like, for myself, it was a tough one, man. Like, and even now in my recovery, still, like, I've been clean since 2012, and like even now, I still have to tell myself that I'm even dealing with stuff from my addiction, like, still to this day. And like I said, I've been clean since 2012. You know, March 23rd of 2012, and you know, I'm still like actually having repercussions from my addiction still coming up in my life because, well, I was ripping and running for 15 years, I guess. So that's what caused it. But like you said, you got to have that.
Some people won't let you live that down, and that's where a lot of people make a mistake, is not letting people live down their past. And that's what causes relapse a lot of times.
It does. And that's why I try to tell people is like, you can't have like, look, man, all you could do is make the next right choice. And, you know, if everybody slips and falls and everybody has like, you know, I mean, let's face it, relapse is part of recovery. Like, it's not like most people don't get clean the first time they get into recovery. It's just a fact. You can look up the statistics on it. And you know, you can't beat yourself up if you fall down to where you don't get back to it, because like you said, man, you got to really have that dedication and determination to want to, man. And you got to want it for yourself. You can't do it for your, you know, your wife, your kids. I mean, of course that's part of it, but you got to really want to do it for yourself, you know, because you're no good
Well,
to anybody else.
I think too many people get fixated on numbers. Like I've been clean for 300 days, and then they slip up, and
Oh,
in their head, they got a free pass. Now they can go, oh, I'll clean in a week again. I got to restart anyways. And
hey,
that's like
that's look, that's
all
so
that
true.
think-
That's 100% true, straight. It is. You don't know how many people I've seen slip up in rehab and like NA or AA or whatever, and because they put so much on that 6 month mark or that year mark, that when they slip and fall, they're just like fuck. They, you know, either they're too ashamed to go back, or you know what I mean? Like they just, like you said, they got a free pass for a week, and then once that week goes by, they're already back down in that lifestyle to where they never go back, you know. And yeah, I
and I
don't think you
think
should put too much on the numbers, man. It's just a day at a time. That's what
I can
anybody
tell
will tell
you
you
how
that.
I slipped up this last time was thinking it was okay to go to dinner with my wife and have a drink.
What?
And that's what put me right back in the position where I was at.
Tell her, ask her mom.
Her mom said it's up
well,
to you.
Yeah, I'll come
I
get
per-
you in 15.
I personally
Sorry, guys.
think there's a difference between lapse and relapse. I think a lapse, like I think they should start doing that. You know what I mean? Because a lapse, if you use once, I call that a lapse. If you go on a bender, that's a relapse. I mean, maybe
That's
I'm wrong
hey,
for thinking that way, but that got me through it because I
no,
screwed up once. I relapsed, and I'm like, no, you know what? That was a lapse. It was a lapse in judgment. I shouldn't have done it. I'm gonna continue. That's what I'm gonna do.
so
Where's
you're
here?
I believe in what you're saying, man, 100%, and I'll tell you why. Like the support group I had was called Celebrate Recovery, and I had a relapse after I hit my year mark. You know, I got off probation and I had a relapse, and luckily, man, I knew I was going to end up dying if I didn't get back to plugging into recovery. And when I went back there, I wasn't like I had been in AA, I've been in NA, and when I went back there and told everybody I relapsed, it wasn't like it wasn't like I let them down. It was different, you know, and
Right.
that's what they told me. They were like, look, man, you used one time, you came right back, and like, you know, yeah, you technically you relapsed, but like it don't matter. You didn't lose that year of sobriety. You didn't lose everything you learned the past year, did you? You know, and
Absolutely.
that's so true. And that's what more people need to realize is like it's not about the days, man. It's just about each day at a time.
Absolutely, man. I think if you lapse and then instantly it kicks in, you're the angel on your shoulder. Hey, we got to get back there, and you're still in the mindset of I'm in recovery. I don't think that's you know what I mean. Yeah, it's a bad thing you
Yeah,
relapse, but I think I'm a lapse.
it's
That's
not the
not
same. It's yeah, like you said, it's more of a lapse in judgment than a full blown relapse. Like a full blown relapse is when you go out and go out. You know, you're out there doing it for a while. Um, and like I said, I do agree with you with the numbers thing 100% because, like I said, when people slip up and they get so much pride over that 1 year mark or that 2 year mark, and then once they relapse, you know, they use one time, they get that shame where they think, you know, they don't want to go tell everybody that they did slip up and use. You know what I mean? So
right. Exactly. And Robbie,
yeah,
I know
man.
exactly what you're saying, brother. Like I got tattoos to prove it, man. I know what you mean, bro. And that's hard.
But look,
That's a real life experience, man. That's hard.
well,
Battle
look, guys, I
scars.
don't mean to jump on here and bounce, but man, I was in the middle of cooking dinner and I realized what time it was, man. I wanted to jump up here and join you guys.
Oh, you're
Next
good.
week I'll try to be here for the whole thing, man.
Heck yeah, man. Thank you for jumping in. We had a little mix up in venue, so Square's here now. We got him over here. Hopefully
That's
we can
cool.
hear some good stuff.
Look, Square,
Hey, so
much respect. Hey, Venomous, you need anything, reach out, man. Keep grinding one day at a time, bro.
Always, always. I can't let you know if I let myself down, I'm letting the people around me down. But like I said, it starts with you and it ends with you, and you just have to keep that in mind.
Exactly, man. I mean, you got some beautiful kids, man, and you know, you got to make sure you give them a chance at life, and that's, you know, like you said, it starts with you, man.
You're right,
Yes.
and I do that. I have to think about that every day. You know, every day. What is here on YouTube? I have to think about that.
Well, don't
Um,
sweat that, bro. Like, look,
no,
man.
no. I mean, that's really what pushes me, though.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not. I don't use it to tear myself down. I use it to build myself up.
yeah. Like, yeah, it's a learning lesson, man. It's a learning lesson. Like I said, you ever
Exactly.
need anything, man, reach out. Y'all have a blessed night, man.
Salute,
You
brother.
too.
Me too.
What's up, Square? How you doing, man?
Nothing, man. I guess we got communication crossed or something. You told me to
Yeah,
set the thing up for 6 p.m., but I guess you meant 6 p.m. your time, not my time.
yeah. Oh, we're on. Oh, I didn't know we were on different time zones, man.
And I didn't
Hey,
know
what
we
are
were
you
doing
doing?
it over here or whatever, but it don't matter. We can do it here tonight. It don't matter to me. I don't care.
Heck yeah, man. So, what you want to share, brother?
Sure. Let's see. Hold on just a second. Let me, okay. Hello, I'm Square, and I'm an addict, recovering addict. And let's see,
That clapping.
I started, huh? No, I'm
I
opening.
thought.
My bad. Sorry,
Okay,
I was
I'm-
opening this plastic pouch. I'll be completely honest with you. I'm opening this plastic pouch, pouring a gut in it.
Oh, you're good. You're good. It sounded like
No,
clapping.
but yeah, it's that plastic packaging. Probably sound horrible on the mic. So I started out, uh, just smoking. What I started out smoking when I was like in 10th grade, and you know I didn't understand what I was getting my brain into, or you know all the stuff behind it. Because when you look at the science and what they've figured out now about addiction, and even with social media and stuff, it's mind blowing. You know, and our brains stop developing once we get, I think, around 26. Correct me if I'm wrong or not. I think it's around that age, close to around 26, depends, give or take. And so I'm
Yeah, sounds
29, but about in 2016, I I had already had a small minor car accident. I mean, I say minor being that there was no fatality, but it was a pretty bad uh, failure to yield from this man in Michigan. Uh, God bless him. But he was older. He didn't know where he was at. Obviously, I live in a small town. Probably just it might be a little bit bigger than Ryan's. I don't know. I don't even know what town he lives in. But I grew up in Nashville, and I went to school in high school in Nashville. But I grew up in my younger years in Missouri. So when I started smoking and getting into addiction and everything, I was in the big city, and I was also not in a household like I was before. I was in a Christian home growing up with my granddad and my grandmother, and my dad and mom had split when I was like about 3, I think, or 2, and my mom had given me to my grandparents when I was about 3 because she couldn't deal, had her own issues going on, you know, with addiction and stuff. And so I was with my dad's side of the family, and my dad is a recovering alcoholic. He's been sober now for a few years. I think he's got about 2, 3 years on me because he cleaned up his act before, you know, I got mine fully straightened up. But that's because he got remarried mostly and some other stuff. You know, it was just time for him to change, and he did. You know, my dad's a leader in church and stuff over there where they live out in, it's not Murfreesboro anymore, but it's somewhere out. You know where I'm talking about straight shooting? Like out there in,
Yeah.
not Davidson County, but Rutherford.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't been there, but
Oh, I thought you'd been to Nashville. My bad. My bad.
Oh, yeah, I
I
went to
thought you were.
Nashville. I went to Nashville. Yeah, definitely. I went all
Even
through
though
Nashville.
I'm
Yeah, well,
even though
there's a
I'm
county.
from Alabama, I worked in Nashville and Bellevue. I know where Rutherford is.
Yeah, Venomous. You know what I'm talking about, that area. So there's a town there called Murfreesboro, and that's where I lived up till 2013. I lived in Murfreesboro with my dad. But no, my road to addiction, man, I guess it started when I was in high school. I started smoking weed with my friends, but I, as far as just spending a lot of money or something, I don't think that I was to the point that I was like a fiend or anything. I just was smoking marijuana and cigarettes, and I shouldn't have been. And it, when I had that wreck, it just, and before the wreck, too, here, let me make sure I tell the whole truth. Before the wreck, I had some oral surgery, and I was given the old Lortab 10 500s, and I had to have my wisdom teeth taken out, and I had to have gum graft. And because of both those surgeries, like, this guy in Nashville, I'm not going to say his name, but he's a doctor, obviously, orthopedic surgeon, he loaded me up on pain pills. I mean, like, went back and got a refill, even, you know. Uh, and I had never, ever felt such relief. Like, not only did it help my pain, but, even inside, like, I felt good. I felt calm and warm because I'm naturally a hyper guy, so I guess that downer feeling, that's what I'm more been into as an addict, I guess you'd say. So
Yeah.
that's what started mine. And then I had that wreck, and then I learned that I had degenerative disc disease, and then I had another wreck, which wasn't my fault. Two people was coming out, and I was coming back from work, and they failed to yield coming from an outer road onto a 4-lane highway. And when they failed to yield, I struck them, and I spun around 3 times and stopped on the side of the road. And they both went out to the field, and unfortunately, they both passed away. And they airbagged the passenger, and then they airbagged me. I had broken my sacrum, my knee, and my femur. So I was all fucked up. Remarkably, though, I called 911 actually. I don't know if somebody called it before me, but I wasn't blacked out that long, and I was able to get to my phone after the collision. But it was, it was, and then after that, being in a wheelchair and having to go through physical therapy and stuff, I didn't walk for about a year and a half, or well, I didn't really walk on my own or whatever for about a year. And it was just a lot of shit, man. And I guess and then when I learned I was in a depression and everything else, like, I just kept deciding to be an addict, and I justified, like, I got the pain, I can take them, but I was overtaking them. I was making myself. I was getting to the point to where I'm causing hyperaglasia and stuff, in my body. And so when it finally came to a point, just about 4 years ago, and I almost died, is when I finally said, okay, yeah, I'm accepting help. I'm not saying no to anything. And I went through um, an evaluation, all that good stuff first. Learned what I had never probably should have been diagnosed with when I was younger. And then I went on to Massachusetts and met the recovery community and got into rehab, 12 steps, all that stuff, and with a doctor, because I do have, actual, that was the challenge really for my recovery team. It's like, okay, because I wasn't a huge, they knew that with my medical record and everything, like, because when I went to rehab, I was still being given a pain medicine, and the pain medicine they had me on at that time was tramadol, which was like the weakest one I got, and they was giving me just one every 4 hours, and taking a the maximum amount of Tylenol in between that. And that's pretty much what they me and my addiction doctor were talking about. I said, because when we was in rehab, I tried a couple days of seeing if I could just get by on Tylenol maybe and get past the withdrawal, and I couldn't. So they ultimately decided that, I was probably, one of the people that's on it for, if hopefully not the rest of my life, if I figure out a way to strengthen my leg. But see, that's another thing. I have some cell death that occurred in my leg. And, when you have muscle cell death that happens, which it doesn't always happen, it's actually kind of rare. But when it does happen, that muscle is never going to regrow in my right leg. That part is like a little bitty indentation where it happened almost. It's like not that big or anything. But I mean, it's just a little bit of my addiction. I mean, it's mainly pain pills. I've tried other things, sure, once, but the main issue I've had is with pain medicine. And I would say that the times I experimented taking an upper, because when I take an upper, I had taken an ecstasy the night that I'd almost died, and I found out it was laced with amphetamine. And, then I don't ever want to take an upper again. Because I was never one to do uppers,
Now, how'd that accident you get in affect you mentally?
Really bad. Even though their daughter called me that night, I was in the hospital. Which, when I was in the ambulance, I heard one of the state troopers say, "We got one DOA," and my heart sunk, and I knew what that meant. And I turned around, I said, "You mean somebody died?" And they said, "No, everything's all right, buddy." I knew they were just lying to me, and I just kind of was like, "Yeah, all right." But I just couldn't believe what happened. And the next thing you know, I had a trooper come in there really quickly afterwards. It's like almost like, I guess they went and said that, this dude knows what DOA means. I don't know. They got suspicious or something, because at that point, or at least that's how they came off to me. Because they came in there and they said, do we have permission to get your black box out of your car? And I said, "What are you talking about? Permission for?" And they said, "Well, your car has a black box in it that'll tell us a lot about the collision, and you can either give us permission to, I was like, "Well, yeah, I don't have any objections." They said, "Do you have any objections to us taking blood?" I was like, "No, knock yourself out. I'm on my way back from work." Like, I knew I wasn't actively under the influence of anything at that time. And I wasn't, uh, like I hadn't even I had tried pain pills before, but I wasn't on them daily at that point. I started getting on day after that last wreck.
Yeah, man, that's tough, man. That's a lot to handle. I mean,
the first wreck,
I
just got banged up, and the steering wheel didn't deploy, so I hit the front part of my head and mouth, which is, that's what caused an issue with one of my teeth. And then for some reason, I've got like just the first 3 or 4 front teeth in the front part of the top of my mouth missing. I've got all my other teeth, but I got those missing. I've been trying to get fixed, and what else? When I had that wreck, it kind of scared me a little bit. But I was like, nobody got hurt. I got some money back out of it. It was the guy even admitted fault, that he must have pulled out without looking. That's one of the statements he made, and they determined on that wreck he was at fault. And then the other wreck, it was a combination of them failing to yield, and I think they said I was doing about 68 miles an hour, and speed limit was 65. So I wasn't reckless driving or anything. I was technically bumping a little over the speed limit, but yeah, their combination of the failure to yield and the fact it was a high rate of speed and everything, and the way we hit, the person that was driving, they had a seat belt close to their neck, from what I found out, and that killed them pretty much instantly. And the other person, they had to be flighted out, and they died while in surgery. So I mean, it was a lot.
I started drinking at 12 years old, and this is how it even started. And in middle school, huh?
Oh, I was saying what's up to Chad. I didn't even know he was
Oh,
up
hey,
here.
yeah, hey, Chad, it's Doug B. How you doing?
I'm chilling. Y'all carry on. I love listening.
I thought it was cool because I mean I've always been I was always mature looking. I looked the same way then as I look now. I just didn't have the gray and all that, and I could walk in a
You're
liquor
still
store.
ugly.
What's that?
So you were still ugly. I'll bring you right to the situation.
I'm still ugly today. But yeah, I was just able to go in and buy the alcohol, man. I was buying alcohol for future Alabama and Auburn football players. I thought it was cool to be able to go in and buy it for everybody that was having all these parties and stuff. And that's where I got hooked into it, and was because I thought it was something cool. And I explain that to my kids all the time. Don't ever let anybody peer pressure you, and don't ever think that any of this is cool, because it's not. It'll get you in the position that I'm in, and you don't want to be there. And I'm actually not fighting it off, but it'll either be dropped or lessened. But this charge that I'm dealing with right now, this felony, it's the only felony I've ever had, and I explain this to my kids every day. If not every day, at least every other day. You don't want to be in my position. Take heed to what I'm telling you, and learn from me. I'm older than you, and my oldest son, I broke down on the way home 2 weeks ago, just looking in the mirror, because he's 12 years old, and that's where it all started with me. And I know kids are going to experiment. You know what I'm saying? But you just don't want to get caught up in all of it, because at the end of it all, at the end of the day, I mean, it's just not, it's not cool. And that's what I thought it was. And I already had alcoholism running through my family. It runs through my blood. It's genetic on both sides of my family. And I got caught up in something that I didn't know, just like with the methadone. And I quit, and I dropped it cold turkey. I didn't know what I got myself wrapped up in then, but I dropped it February 16th of 2021. And, like I said, it's easy to go back and get alcohol because it's legal. It's easy to just walk in the store and get it. But I started really, really young, and wished I wouldn't have, because I wouldn't be in the position. I would be in a way better position I am now. But you live and you learn from everything. And I've almost lost my life a few times, not on my account, not because of drugs or anything, but because of car wreck, and being robbed, just randomly robbed. But I've been left here for a reason, and maybe this is the reason.
Yeah,
If I
To be
could
able to tell my
also add
story.
something to, I want to add something to what Bennett said. Like being that's the thing about these kids, and I'll say young adults, because the ones that are in car driving age or permit age, we already know that back when we were that age, some of us even younger, we started smoking cigarettes, whatever. They're already starting, and there's been talk that kids are doing more and more things earlier and earlier as the generations go on, and it's not a progress thing, it's a backwards thing. And all these people that are trying to indoctrinate children into these extreme ideologies and all this, I'm not going to be PC or anything, but gender, I don't mean to offend anybody, but I'm going to say my opinion. Gender stuff and drama, drag classes for kids, like all that's, bad. Like we got a lot of things corrupting our children, and there's a lot of parents and people that are fighting for it at the school levels. I don't have any children, so I don't have that worry, but I couldn't imagine having, like I see it happening with some of my nieces and nephews, the stuff that they talk about that goes on and is talked about now, and like what they're even into or gossip about that I hear. It's just, it's not anything close to like what I remember how school was like when I was coming up. And I'm sure that's the same thing Fennis could agree with, or anybody else older, than me. But I was robbed once down in Blytheville, and I thought I was at a friend's house. This is how bad I am with not being able to tell who's a good person or not a lot of times, because I was over at someone's house, had been hanging out with them so much that I got so comfortable I fell asleep. Well, I wake up and there's like nobody in there. I'm like all by myself, and I'm thinking, what, what's going on? And then all of a sudden, some people come out from the front inside and put, cover me up and went through all my pockets and stole everything but just a couple pills that they didn't find. And, they luckily left me with my keys and my car. It didn't hurt me, but they pointed what seemed like a gun to the back of my head and didn't let me see who it was. And of course, as soon as they were gone, my quote unquote friend, he comes running out the bathroom like, what happened? Like I don't, like I knew right then and there he had something to do with it. That's why I just played cool and left, and I just stayed away from that person ever again. But the same thing, here recently, I worked for Lyft last year down in Memphis, and right around the time Young Dolph got shot, there was a guy that almost hit a few cars on the highway, and he was honking, and I honked back, and we got up to a light, and he looks over at me, and I just shake my head like, like thinking to myself, that dude's gonna cause a wreck. And he says, "Oh, what the fuck you got to say?" And I start nabbing back at him. Next thing you know, he points a gun at me, but then drives off. So I was robbed once and had that little almost near-death experience here recently, which didn't make no sense. But so yeah, it's never things that you should be into. You don't ever want to be around stuff like that.
Well, I'll say this. My call it what you will. My kids don't know nothing. If my kids don't know what drugs look like, that's how far away from my old life I try to keep them. I don't know if that's just my parenting style, but I don't want them to know. And when they do find out, I want to be able to have that conversation with them. But I guess if it was ever asked,
I was just about to ask, not to interrupt you, bro. I was just about to say, like, definitely be willing to talk to him, because some people have said that to me, and I think that's what some of my issues, like, of how I just am raised, is why I act how I act sometimes or can be online, because of my thinking. That's what people don't understand. And when I see, and like I've had people ask me, like, were you sheltered growing up and stuff? And I didn't know what the word sheltered was at the time, but that's exactly how it was. I was sheltered. Until I went to Nashville, I didn't ever know anything about drugs or nothing. Until I went to live with my dad.
I'll tell you this, man. It just because we're talking about my kids, I'm gonna say this, but I promise anybody that's watching or rewatches this, if I ever see someone make a video about this, I'm coming to your house and it's over. My youngest came to me last year. He's like, "Dad, I want to play sport." I'm like, "Yeah, that's my boy. That's my boy. What sport?" "I want to be a cheerleader." I tell you what, at first, and I'm not gonna lie, at first I'm like, "Oh my God, really?" But then I brought him to his first practice, and the way he got along, showed everybody how to do a back handspring, how to do a cartwheel. The first game he ever went to, I was louder than any of the football parents. But yeah, my youngest was a cheerleader for 1 year, and and I know that doesn't go the whole gender thing, but the world is changing, and I don't agree with any of it. I don't agree with teaching kids anything.
I
He
can
wanted to
actually
do
No,
say
no.
this
If
for
they have an
balance.
actual
Do you
interest,
know?
I'm just talking about with these. I'm sorry. I'm just talking about these school boards that are pushing certain things. It's not happening everywhere, but it's happening in these, what cities. But y'all go
Do
ahead.
you
Sorry.
know for balance in football and in other sports, also wrestling, guys take ballet. If you don't know
Yeah,
Yeah,
that already.
that's true.
my kid
And
was
let
the
me
only
tell you
one that.
something. Let me tell you something. A
And I was about to say,
cheerleader,
I
a guy cheerleader is gonna appear more to a woman than any other person playing any other sport.
but
Well,
I
yeah,
thought
and
there were
I'm
already like guy cheerleaders with the women ones. Aren't there? Don't they usually wear like long pants, silky pants and stuff, and like do cartwheels and stuff like it, like you were saying? I thought that was already a thing though.
no man, I don't know, but I know my son was the only male there, and
Maybe I'm
none of the
thinking of
girls.
something else.
They could never do a cartwheel. He's only 7, mind you. He could do cartwheels, back springs. He could do some. You name it, my kid can do it. And I tell you what, he is the nicest kid in the world. If he sees anybody crying, knows them or not, he's gonna walk up to them, ask them if they're all right. My older son is kind of like it's kind of yin and yang with him. I mean, he's not mean, but he's quiet. But my youngest
No, I
Owen,
was
yeah, he was
thinking
a
of
cheer.
gymnastics.
Oh, he wanted
Excuse
to
me,
do
I'm sorry.
gymnastics. He went in there and he's like, "No, I don't want to do this. It's all girls." But like, you should have seen like the way he was just amazing. But yeah, anybody talks crap like that about my kid on any live, I'm coming to your house.
Look,
That's a
this is
promise.
gonna sound real funny, and no one talk crap about this because I'm sharing it in this space. But like when you said that your kid wanted to, like, I have no like, if they have developed that natural interest, yeah, the worst thing you want to do is tell them no or scold them for it. Like that's just my thinking on it. But then again, I'm not a parent. But also, when I was in the 5th grade, my grandmother was a head of band. She said, "You gotta, I didn't really want to play." And this is what I say about you shouldn't like ever try to force your kid into a particular type of sport or hobby or whatever. Because when they don't want to do it, or you're trying to make them do it because you want to see them succeed or be that, it doesn't always work out well most of the time. Like that's what happened with me and my granddad with baseball. He really wanted me to be a baseball player. I just fucking sucked at the game. I mean, I
Don't
wasn't
you
good.
don't
Oh yeah.
ever you don't ever try to pressure a child into doing something that you want them to do, because in the end that may not be something that they're good at, and it may not be something that they want to do. So what you
Exactly.
do is you allow them to do what they want to do, and allow them to explore different things. Like my son right now, he's 12, man. He wants to play in the band, you know and I'm not going to detour him from that, even though I played baseball and I wrestled and I'm just a natural athlete. um I, I I'm not going to tell him what he can and can't do. I'm going to pay for it. I'm going to let him do what he wants to do, because you cannot pressure a child and expect them to be successful at something maybe that you were, because everybody is not the same.
No, you're exactly right, man. And that's what I was, this is a
My
little embarrassing, but I finally ended up choosing to play the clarinet because I really didn't want to play an instrument, but that's the one that I played the best. And I got made fun of and given so much shit for it. Sorry, Trey.
oh man, my dad forced me to do Boy Scouts. I became an Eagle Scout. My dad forced me to do football. I did football. I'm not gonna force my kid to play any sports, but I tell you what, he's probably the fastest kid his age with a football in his hand. That's why I wish he'd play, but you know what? He doesn't want. He actually kind of wants to play soccer, which we were arch enemies with soccer, but that's fine. I mean, it's all good. I love my kids, man, but kind of rooting back to mental health, man. What you got to say, Chad? I know you're here. You just want to listen. Mental health,
Oh
addiction,
yeah,
anything, brother?
I'm just I'm just absorbing it all up like a sponge. Yeah, I like to
Well,
listen.
that is part of mental health if you think about it, because I mean that's something
Yeah,
you
it's all
go
related.
through, and you can't push that on your child. That also falls into mental health because it's something that you were doing, and you cannot pressure your child into doing something else because that may cause them some kind of mental breakdown that they don't want.
Yeah,
And
and it's getting
that may make them feel like that you're not gonna love them as much as you would have if they would have done this, that, or the other that you wanted them to do.
right.
So that kind of does
Yeah,
fall in the
I don't
mental
know,
health
man.
category.
I kind of agree with that, but at the same time, like, I think the world is changing. I think there's these participation trophies, and like you can't spank your kid anymore. You can't. I don't agree with abuse at all, but like your kid sticks his
Well, we were
hand
getting
in an out.
participation trophies back when I was coming up, but my granddad, he did, he used to have a paddle that me and my brother had our signatures on.
Oh yeah,
Well,
I
there's a
used to love my.
difference in spanking your child and beating your child, but these days the government, I am going to say this, the government is overreaching their boundaries and has made this world softer than it used to be when we were coming up.
Well, that's true too, and I mean, another,
Can
there's
y'all hear me?
there's a little bit of an agenda going behind the scenes with these, because now more and more, especially after the pandemic, when they rented out all these laptops and we're doing virtual school at home, they are they've already come out with the reports that all the screen time is actually bad for us and bad for the kids, and you know their brains are already getting hijacked now, younger and younger, not by nicotine and alcohol and the stuff we were trying around 12, 13, 14, 15, but by likes, views, and shares, and TikTok and stuff like that. All of that stuff is feeding and is creating a whole new epidemic of addiction in and of itself with the younger generation right now.
Anything can be a drug if you want to know the absolute truth.
Well, yeah, you're right, but they had a documentary where they showed that these social network engineers, when they were making these platforms, like when it was in beta test and they were doing studies on it and everything, they were creating these systems based on the brain chemistry of neurofeedback, like dopamine looping and stuff to make people. That's why you feel good when you get to check your likes and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I
Right.
think, and this is probably the most confident, whatever it is, the most. Everybody's gonna disagree with us. Weed's a drug and it's addictive. Come on, guys, let's hear it. Let's hear how it's known.
But you said people are going to disagree with it or agree with it?
Weed is a psychoactive drug. Yeah. And I
But
know that I probably do.
it has many properties and health benefits that can be taken from it, unlike fentanyl and heroin and stuff like that.
Yeah, but
and
I
it
think
definitely needs.
in my
It
opinion,
definitely has its agricultural value, man, with the hemp
no.
being better than cotton.
If you smoke weed and you got to go to the
God
dispensary
bless Pop.
once a day and spend $20, that's an addiction. You're chasing something, and you might not get addicted to the weed itself, but you're addicted to that high. Period. Just like caffeine's a drug. I mean, it's a
I
drug
already
and it's
said
an
that.
addiction.
Look, straight. I already said that. My new drug is caffeine. I do not hardly
Yeah,
smoke anymore.
I
I've quit.
Some
I've
people
quit
eat.
everything.
Some people shop. Everybody's got an addiction somewhere.
Right.
Food addiction. There's so many
Yeah.
addictions out
Yeah,
there.
That's another one.
people eat it. People that eat like that, they got an addiction. Some people shop their asses off.
Yeah.
It don't have to be a drug
My-
to be an addiction.
YouTube's my drug. I love y'all. This is a virtual.
See?
I'm not even drunk. Man, I think there's
I
so
was
many.
gonna.
I think there's so many mental illnesses out there. That I worry about the people that don't get their mental health checked or their. I'm like, when my doctor told me I had anxiety, I'm like, no, I got a fucking brain tumor. Check my brain, something's wrong with me. Like, I'm this big, tough guy, that's what I thought. I'm like, it can't be anxiety. That's for pussies. I mean, that's what I thought. And then eventually I came after being on medication. I'm like, it was anxiety. So, and I know a lot of people have that same mindset. No, man, like, dude, I went to war. I did this. I play football. I don't have anxiety. I don't have depression. That's for like them sissy boys.
Yeah.
No, man, like I got it both, and I don't think I'm a sissy boy at all. I
Shit, I
mean,
got it.
That's another,
guess
like what you said, straight shooting the places that have it recreational, and I'm not against it or anything, but like that's one of the reasons why here recently I cut that I've been, my usage of cannabis so much, because I realized, even from what Scooter told me once, that after so much, you're people, like, I don't know, I used to smoke a lot. I mean, a lot of cannabis every day. Just because I always was on edge, it seemed like, or always had some shit going on. But, and what I realized though is that after I took a little bit of a break, I evened out and I felt better, and I didn't have to smoke as much anymore.
No, absolutely, man.
I guess what do they call it? They call it a tea break or something.
Something like that. But it's tough, man. It's also tough, and if anybody when people walk away from this stream, I just want you guys to know, like, you're not alone. Like, if I had a camera on my everyday life, like, I'm the same person, but at the same time I'm different. Like, I got anxiety, I don't know, I guess a little bit of depression still. I mean, that comes and goes, but I think changing some stuff in life would help. Definitely seeing a counselor will help. But no one's too tough to have anxiety. Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to say.
I don't, and that's another thing that, I didn't want to accept a lot of the stuff that I was told at first. That's why, like, after I had my suicide deal, like, I straight up asked the psychiatrist, because I never wanted to see a shrink. I was like, oh, people that just don't know themselves or have any relationship with God have to see shrinks. I grew up Christian. I got saved and, felt the Lord Jesus Christ, like I remember crying about it whenever I was very little, and I was 8 years old, and I got saved there at Bible camp or church camp or whatever. But, so as growing up, I never thought that I needed to see a shrink. But, and then after I had those issues with addiction and stuff, and I saw her, I was like, well, so what, am I crazy? She was like, no. She's like, you're not crazy. She said, I think you've seen a lot of stuff and been through a lot of stuff that's compounded. Like, I maybe have started out with general anxiety, but because of the PTSD from the wrecks and then the stuff with my mom, man, it's just like, nobody should have to watch their mom like die like that. Like, I don't know. I want to share a little bit of it, but not too much. It's just that my mom was in an abusive relationship she couldn't get out of. This dude was a truck driver, and he was a gambling addict and everything. That was his addiction. He looked out on people that had addictions or smoked marijuana or stuff like my mom did, or maybe somebody like me. But he didn't mind cheating or gambling. And this dude, I mean, this piece of work, this so-called man, not only did he give my mom a disease, but, and she wanted to kill him after that, but she didn't want to go to prison. So she ended up marrying him. But, I mean, he literally dropped her off and left her to die, at the end of it, after abusing her all that time and always wasting money and stuff. And, like, I just felt so powerless, man, because I couldn't do nothing about it. I couldn't do nothing to him.
Yeah, and that's a
Like,
tough
like,
feeling.
like I told that guy, like when he called me, he called me the next day to let me know that she had passed, and I said, "Well, I'll tell you what, man," I said, I was like, just as soon as I get the gas money up, I said, I'm gonna come down to I knew where his family was from down in Mississippi. I said, I'm gonna find you, man. I said, I'm gonna see you sooner or later. I was like, you better
Man,
not let me ever see you, man, because I'm gonna go kamikaze on your ass. Like we're both going.
yeah. Well, hey guys, we're gonna probably 10 minutes one. I wanna share one more story with
I'm
everybody.
just kidding, but that's,
No,
I
you're
mean,
good.
if I could.
Back on the addiction and some bad choices. This is also gonna be one of my stories I share, but I want to share this, guys, with you because after I tried to kill myself, that's when I started thinking God's real, you know. But this can't just be a coincidence. So, in the mix of my addiction, um, I went to this trap house. A girl named Heather, which was like 45 minutes away from me. So we're hanging out, and this girl comes in. I didn't know she was older. I thought she was my age, but she comes in. You could tell when someone's sick, like they haven't had any drugs. And she's like, "Where's Heather? Where's Heather?" I'm like, "She's downstairs." I was just chilling upstairs, like with two other people. We're just like, I think one was playing the guitar. There was like 35 people down there. I'll try to cut this story down a little bit. So she goes down there, she comes back up, and you can tell she's nodding off. She got her fix. Well, she's like, yeah. So Heather missed, which is a term that she was injecting. She was IV using, and it didn't go into her vein, so it's a muscle shot. And she was convinced that she missed, so she said, Heather's gonna help me out in about 5 minutes. So we're just hanging out. I'm talking to this guy playing the guitar. So she goes back downstairs. And like 2 minutes later, I hear it sounded like elephants. Boom, 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 boom. Because this is an old basement. You go straight down, and there's a table right in front of it. Old basement. So these old basements, there, 35 people flooding out. They're all flooding out. Heather comes running out last. She's like, she's flopping. Get out of here. I'm like, yo, you want me to call the ambulance? She's like, no, we'll call when we're away from the house. Like, we'll call in a couple minutes. It's like, all right, bet. So like, I go to turn away, and remember, I was a Boy Scout. I'm like, no. And I was, and this is gonna lead into the story that you guys will see when it downloads. I'm like, all right, I'm on probation. All right, so I ran downstairs. I grabbed this girl by her ass cheek and her tip, basically, and I threw her up over my shoulder, like over my head, and I had to duck down. I had to like squat her up the stairs because they were so short. So the first thing I did, I picked her up. Now everybody ran out of the house. Nobody's in there except me, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Never seen this before. So I'm rubbing her chest. I throw her in the bathtub, which I guess you're not supposed to do. Turn on the cold water. I'm giving her chest compressions, breathing in her mouth like she's foaming. I had to pull her tongue away. Like I'm just thinking, please don't die. Please don't die. I've already called the ambulance. Like I called them, said the address. Someone's overdosing. Cops come barreling in. EMTs come barreling in. And one of them like bumps me out of the way. Like, I don't know, just flew me out of the way. They start chest compressions, hitting her in the leg with Narcan. I think they hit her like 3 times. So the cops come up, and I'm like, listen, I'm on probation. I'm on parole. Like, here you go. I'm ready. They're like, what's your name? Told them my name. They're like, paramedics just said you saved this girl's life. You can go. Don't even worry about it. So I left, and like, I don't know, it messed me up for a little bit, but that thought finally, it left my head. So fast forward, my kids got taken. I decided, you know what? I'm not into stuff, but DHS, you want me to do a rehab? I'm doing a rehab. So I walk in the rehab. I go to open the door, and I'm like the last one there. I'm 10 minutes late. I go to open the door, and all I hear is thump, thump, thump. This girl comes up and barrel hugs me, and she's crying. And I don't see who she is because she's like 5 foot tall, and I'm like, I don't even know what's going on. She's like, I was just telling the story about you. This is him. This is the guy. I look down. It's the girl that I saved. Like out of every rehab at every time, 150 miles away, I'm in the same rehab as this girl. She was just telling the story about how I saved her. So it's like, wow. She's like, I haven't used since that day, 4.5 months ago, whatever it was. And it was the coolest feeling because her son, her 21-year-old son, and her 4-year-old daughter picked her up, and she made me introduce myself to them. And it was the coolest feeling. I mean, I know it's a bad thing, but something really good came out of it. Like, she was telling me how, like, Heather was like her cousin, and everybody left her. They left her. And I'm like, and I almost did. I started walking out the door, and I'm like, I can't do this. Like, if this girl's dead, like, I checked her pulse. Like, I wasn't really CPR certified, but I was in Boy Scout, checking her pulse, every hand, every leg, checking her neck, her jugular. I couldn't feel it moving. I didn't do the mirror thing, but I couldn't hear her breathing. So I just started breathing. I was pumping her chest, hearing crack, 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 rubbing her chest. When I thought I like killed her by crushing her chest and rubbing her chest, and I guess that's what kept the paramedics eventually told me that's what kept the oxygen flowing enough where the Narcan could kick in. I've told a couple people that story, but that's the story. Like, that's why I believe in God. I believe there's something after this. I believe everything happens for a reason. And if any of them 35 people see this, like, seriously, you guys are all pieces of shit. Like, I just couldn't believe 35. It was 35 people. I know it was. I mean, it could have been 32, but every single one of them left. And I was the guy that didn't know anybody. They were all related. Like,
It's
know
because
each
you
other.
have a heart. It's because you have a heart. And you changed. What you did was what everybody should do. It takes one person to change somebody, and to change that person helps that person to help somebody else change. It's like a chain reaction.
Yeah, how do
I would-
precedents get set? How a precedent doesn't get set unless a person steps up and sets it.
You know, I would really like to see this girl. Like, if I ever see her, I'm gonna tell her about this YouTube channel and what we're doing weekly. Like, she could tell you from a different perspective. Like, but it was so, like, just seeing her in the rehab. Like, it's giving me the chills right now. Like, I got my hair standing up. Just seeing her in the rehab, and like, she knew it was me. Like, she was looking for me. Oh, by the way, the girl that owned the house stole her wallet, took her phone. They thought she was gone. They took all her stuff. They had her car. Like, the police had to escort her back the next day after she went out of there. That they had to like bring her to her car, like, and get her wallet back and all this stuff. And I guess she's been clean. I don't know about now, but she was clean like 4.5 months to the day then. And I don't know, I think it changed her life. It definitely changed mine. I mean, that's something that just once in a while, like, you guys are talking about addiction and dying, and that it brought that up. But it's like, I could still see it, like the blue. Her face had 2 big blue spots on it like this. She was all blue. She was turning blue, and her tongue was stuck to like this out of her mouth. So I had to pull her tongue out just to get air. Like, it was crazy, guys. But I love y'all. I thank y'all for this. I think this should be a weekly thing. I didn't mean to like cut the way off, but I figured I'd share one more story before we get into everything else. But yeah.
No, I mean,
I am gonna
we-
say this.
I ain't
I'm
had
gonna
no problem.
jump down. Square. If you have me
Yes,
blocked,
sir.
man, unblock me, because you know
I don't have you
I'm
blocked,
not.
dude.
I'm just saying, if you do, I don't know if you do.
I don't
know
really
that
know
I've been
you,
in
but
there.
I
I
know
know
you
that
were
I've been. I
talking
just know
one
that I've
time
been
and-
in there, and I've said some shit, and I mean, I'm not gonna knock nobody. We all have our own monsters, our own problems, and if this can change anything, so be it. And it's a good thing going on. I wish the person that was doing this before that I was involved with in a different community would have done this. And straight, I will bring her over and introduce her to the group because she
Hey,
had
little king of the
started a
motherfuckers
cast
here.
to do this.
Sorry.
No,
I'm
go ahead.
sorry. I shouldn't interrupt you. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Go
You're
ahead.
good. Go ahead, man.
What's up,
I just
Yankees? What's
saw
up, King?
dude. I just saw dude, and I was like, man, I ain't seen him since the other night. My bad.
Yeah, you got
You were saying venomous. You got a girl, but you got a girl though that might be a help to us because me and shooting are two people. I mean, hell, I mean, if you want to help with it,
Well,
or we
she
could always
started.
more than welcome have.
She had started doing this. She had the mindset to do it. She started with one cast, and something happened. Where people were coming in starting shit, and she was just like, "Screw it, I'm not doing it. I'm not putting up with it." But she's a really good chick. She is actually from the true crime community, and I met her through the Summer Wells case. But she's a really, really good person. And was gonna do the same thing that he's doing now, and she just let it go. So I
Yeah,
thought I would introduce her to Straight and go from there. But guys, I'm gonna be listening. I'm gonna hop down because I'm fixing to
Hey,
have to run
listen.
to the store.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm dropping. This is ending in about 2 minutes, and I just want to say this to everybody watching, Square, you, Venomous, you, and everybody watching. You get what you put out in the universe. I don't care if you repeat that in the mirror. It's true. You put out positive, you get positivity. Put out negativity, you get negativity. Do not let anybody bring that down. If someone says something that you don't like, walk away. It's hard, but the positivity of walking away, it will bring you good fortune. Laws of attraction. I believe it. You don't have to believe it. Read The Secret. Watch The Secret. It's on Netflix. But I promise you guys, it is true. It's kind of like the thing where if you guys ever thought of someone you haven't seen in a while and you go into Walmart and see the person, laws of attraction. I believe
I'm
it.
gonna jump down, and I'm gonna say this before I do, just like at the end of every one of my casts. Look, guys, go to sleep with, wake up with, and live your day with gratitude, and keep that same attitude. And with that, I'm gonna jump down, but I'll still be listening as I get ready to head out. But Straight, shoot me a message. Shoot me a message, and I'll get it because I was gonna try to get the kids together, so they could play. I know they all play games. But shoot me a message whenever you get the chance.
Absolutely, man. Speak positive things into existence. Rebecca knows the secret. And it's called The Secret. It's laws of attraction. I promise you guys, if you're having a hard day, try it. Just think positively. If you think negative, you can accidentally put that out in the universe. But I promise you, it'll change your life. I'm not even talking about YouTube dramas. I'm not talking about beats like that. I love all y'all, but that is the truth. Try it out. If I'm wrong, come tell me I'm wrong. What do you got to say, Square? Let's final arguments, bro. Final statements.
No, I ain't got no argument. No, yeah, I don't know. The Secret came out, and The Secret came out in 07 by whatchamacallit. It had the woman. It had Bob Proctor, and who else was it? I think it featured Esther Hicks. I don't know, but those are some people that are in that type of stuff. I've studied that, so I know all what you're talking about. But yeah, man. Yeah, I know, and I've been seeing her post lately, and I got to say, it's like I've been always a fan of Ryan's, but these last few months, it seems like his videos, like, and that him getting into this case, it's I don't know. I think we're gonna see some interesting stuff coming up. That's all. I hate that the divide and stuff going on with people, but it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I'm so glad there was like a peace treaty signed throughout. I was gonna mention this, but I'm glad everybody is slowly starting to get along. And just I know some people aren't. I know there's still some bad blood, but I really hope that this fixes some things. I hope this helps some people. And honestly, just keep pushing, guys.
Let me say, hey, little king of the motherfucking kill. if you want to come and chat with me next whenever this ends, I'll go up. I just saw your comment. No, but sure, if you want to do this weekly or whatever, we could do some on here or some on mine. We can, guys, if y'all, especially if we wanted to make a community, George Viking came up with the name Square Shooting, which I thought was pretty funny because it's pretty much the same as straight shooting, sort of just like square instead of straight. But
Yeah, hey everybody,
uh,
it don't matter, bad blood or not. Go over to Tony's, request the song. Tell him I sent you. We're gonna fix this, the Great Divide. We're gonna call it the Great Divide. We're gonna fix it. We're all gonna do
yeah,
great content. You gotta put it
that's
out.
why Stray did his live. I'm sorry to interrupt you, brother. But I was just telling him that's why you chose to do your live at the time. I just didn't understand you meant your time. But yeah, you did it so the other person that's about to go live has the chance for people to.
That's it, man. We're all in the same community, whether we like it or not. So we might as well get along. Siblings
We try
fight.
not to step on each other's toes.
That's it. All right. Salute to all the shooters out there. Thank you, Square, for being here. We'll talk behind the scenes. We'll figure out, try to do it on the same time, the same hour, the same day every week, just so people know when.
I was gonna say too, if we wanted to really get into sharing stuff that people maybe don't want, I mean, we can do private streams and stuff. It's just that everyone I don't know if they're not really done a lot on YouTube. I've never tried it, but I know there's a way to do it. We would just hope and respect that everybody's not, like leak it or anything. But I didn't know you were already doing this like this. I thought we were talking about forming it. I didn't know you already had a show going, man. You should have texted me.
Who is the guy talking about straight? I don't know who you're talking about. Cashville said something, Johnny Cashville, but I've talked to him. We cool. It was a misunderstanding. I don't got no problems with nobody now. So that's what I said, guys. Laws of attraction. But I'm out of here, guys. Thank you, Square. Thank you, everybody in the comments.
Hey,
salute.
Thank you too again. Y'all make sure to like it. Have a good night.
All right, you too. Bye, guys.